further ado, let's go over to a gentleman who's been waiting very patiently, and I've been looking forward to talking to him. It's the chairman of the Reform UK, formerly Brexit Party, Richard Tice. Good morning, Richard.
Well, good morning. It's a bright, sunny day, Kevin, and no doubt we'll have some bluster and BS from the Prime Minister. But the devil will be in the detail. It will absolutely be in the detail. To be honest, I will trust very little of what Boris tells us, but want to study the hundreds of pages to see what is the truth behind, what he's signed up to.
Yeah, well, we've just been speaking to a guy called Alan Hastings. He's the leader of the Fishing for Leave, and he was extremely fed up. I mean, massively fed up, talking for the entire fishing community. In a way, I think, Richard, we always sort of suspected that Boris would sell them down the river, and he has. It's certainly looking like he has. They wanted total sovereignty over our seas. We've got nothing like that.
That's the suggestion. Let's wait and see what the timescales is, what the quotas are, to get the detail. And it's not just fishing that we've got to look very carefully at. We've got to look at restrictions on farming. I've just learned this morning, potentially something to do with farming and movement of things like potatoes between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The devil is really going to be in the detail on this. And then there's other key issues. I mean, fishing is very important, to the coastal communities. The jobs involved is potentially huge. But then, we must have the ability, particularly as we try and recover from COVID, to be able to deregulate, to run our economy as we see fit. So, he mustn't have signed us up to onerous level playing field obligations. We must have the freedom to invest, to use state aid if necessary for key strategic industries. All of this is about having the flexibility for us as a sovereign nation to run our economy and our country as we see fit, given the circumstances of the time. And if we're held back, if we're restricted, if we're handcuffed to the way that the EU do things, then that is going to make it harder for us to recover quicker. And of course, we've seen actually there are two really good examples of the benefit of that freedom, Kevin. Firstly, we're rolling out the vaccine program faster, about a month faster than anyone else in the European Union. Why? Because we have the freedom, having left, to use our own regulatory agency and to order the vaccines ourselves. Brexit literally is saving lives. The second reason, of course, is, and nobody really talks about this, because we've left the European Union, thankfully, we won't have to pay what otherwise would have been about £100 billion into the EU Recovery Fund. And that money we can use to try and regenerate and recover our own economy.
Yeah, I think that, there are reasons to be cheerful today. At least we are going to be out of the EU come January. So at least we've achieved that much. But as you quite rightly say, as I said at the beginning of my show, before you came up with that phrase, I said the devil will be in the detail. It'd be like when they announce a budget and everyone says, what an amazing budget. And then the journalists and the politicians and lawyers start going through it. And about 4 days later, they go, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen this? So the question is...
And Kevin, the choreography of this,
yes.
To announce this on Christmas Eve, everybody's exhausted for a whole bunch of, COVID-related reasons. There's no time to scrutinise it. This is frankly, it was always going to head this way. I've always said there would be a deal at the last minute, and this is true to form, and it has a certain whiff about it. And let's see what that degree of stench is. I mean, of course, many people are going to be relieved that there is a deal, but it's what's in it, and what freedoms we've got to diverge. We want to diverge our rules and regulations, of course we do, because we want to be a high growth, low tax, getting rid of cutting the daft regulation, cutting the mountain of government waste, much of which is unnecessary. And much of which is where our civil servants have gold-plated EU rules. We've got to scrap all of that so that we can grow much faster. Our economy, in order to recover from this, we need to be growing at 3-4% a year for the next decade, and we must have the freedom to do that. And that's what I'm going to be scrutinising very closely with our lawyers and our team, so that we can really assess what's been signed up to.
Well, there are reports that Angela Merkel got deeply involved at the last minute because she was very worried about Germany's trading relationship with Britain, so she wanted a deal. But what's your sense, Richard? Who do you think in this anxiety to reach an agreement buckled the most? Was it Brussels or was it Britain?
The two B's, Kevin. I don't know. The person I will congratulate is our chief negotiator, David Frost. I think he's been robust and brilliant throughout. Without him, frankly, whatever deal's been signed up to, it would have been significantly worse. Look, Boris is not a brave man. He is not a courageous person. I've seen it personally with him operating even before he was Prime Minister. My hunch is that at the last minute, Boris has bottled this and buckled. But let's wait and see the details, see what's been agreed, and some of it is also in what are the review mechanisms and when those might come in. It'll be very easy for sort of slogans and sound bites, and I must be careful not to fall into that trap myself. Yeah. But let's really see what it is, and what are the restrictions that he's signed us up to?
Yeah, I totally agree that it'll be a week or so. This will drip out, drip, 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 as people pour through this 2,000-page document and find the details. And
a bit like the oil sort of dripping off the goose or the Christmas turkey.
Yeah, exactly right.